Okay, think about the world's top surfing spots.
Yeah.
Bali, Hawaii, maybe Portugal comes to mind.
Yeah, the classics.
Exactly.
Mm,
China, though, probably
Yeah.
doesn't crack the top 100 for most people.
Not typically, no.
Yet today, we're diving into an island that's completely changing that perception. Hainan Island. They call it the Pearl of the South China Sea.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow, maybe against all odds, it's become China's official, state-backed surfing hub.
It's a fascinating mix, really. Geography, serious ambition, and this huge cultural shift. Our mission today, I guess, is to unpack how the weather even makes surfing viable there,
Right.
and then trace its history because it started quite disastrously before becoming this national center.
And we've got some incredible source material for this. This whole deep dive is drawing from excerpts from a brand new book, SurfEXPLORE, Discovering New Surfing Locations Worldwide.
Ah, yes, by John Seaton Callahan.
That's the one, published by Schiffer Publishing.
Right. And it's a fantastic book documenting their search for surf all over the globe. Their China exploration is really a key part of it.
So if you want the full picture,
Yeah, for anyone listening who wants the whole story, the book's actually out on October 28th, 2025. You can pre-order it now, Amazon, Barnes& Noble, W.H. Smith, Kinokuniya, all the usual suspects.
good to know.
We're really talking about the groundbreaking work of John Seaton Callahan and the surfEXPLORE group today.
Okay, let's get into the basics then. Surfing needs waves, obviously, and those waves need to be somewhat reliable, seasonally at least. Hainan's pretty far south, almost equatorial. How does it actually get decent rideable surf? What's generating the swell?
Well, the main engine, the most reliable one, is something pretty predictable in that region, the northeast monsoon.
Okay.
You can think of it as this massive, consistent flow of air. It comes off mainland China, driven by high-pressure systems, and moves southwest over the sea.
And when does this happen? When's the actual surf season?
It really peaks from about mid-December through to mid-February. In that window, you're looking at daily winds blowing 30, sometimes 40 knots out over the water.
Hold on, 30 to 40 knots. That sounds intense, like gale force winds.
It is.
Normally, that much wind just obliterates any decent wave shape, right?
Huh.
Turns it into messy chop. How does Hainan avoid that but still get the swell?
See, this is where the geography is, well, almost miraculous, the Taiwan Strait.
Right.
It acts like a giant natural funnel. It takes all that wind energy blowing over a long stretch of water and channels it, focusing it into long-period groundswell. And that swell path aims directly, straight at Hainan's east coast.
Okay.
But here's the crucial bit. By the time that air mass, that wind, actually reaches the island itself, its speed has dropped off considerably. Or maybe the island's topography blocks it locally.
So it's about separation. Hainan gets the swell energy that was generated way up north.
Exactly, fully formed ocean swell.
But it avoids the super strong, disruptive surface winds that actually created it. Those winds stay offshore or weaken near the coast.
Precisely. That's the magic formula. Clean groundswell, manageable local winds, perfect for good surfing conditions.
That makes sense. A perfect recipe.
Yeah, it really is. Now, the monsoon gives the best, cleanest waves, the most consistent surf, but there is a second source, much more volatile, typhoon season.
Oh, right. When's that?
That runs generally from July to November.
And I'm guessing those waves are bigger, heavier.
Oh, absolutely. Typhoons spinning up in the South China Sea, or ones that cross over from the Philippines. They can generate really powerful, significant swell from the south.
But there's a catch.
Always a catch, isn't there? With typhoons, you're dealing with seriously hot, sticky, humid weather. And, the tracks are unpredictable. It's a gamble.
So winter monsoon is your reliable bet for clean waves. Summer typhoons are the powerful but maybe messy wild card.
That sums it up pretty well. Reliable winter, explosive summer.
Okay, so the waves are definitely there. Geographically, it works. But waves alone don't create a surf scene. You need people, vision. And this is where the story gets really wild, right? The first proper attempt to kickstart surfing on Hainan, 1986.
Yeah, enter Peter Drone, an eccentric Australian surfer.
Eccentric is putting it mildly sometimes, from what I've read.
He was definitely a character, a world-class surfer, no doubt, but also a real showman. And somehow, back in 1986, mind you,
The early days for China opening up.
he convinced the Chinese authorities that surfing wasn't just, a sport. He pitched it as key to the island's whole economic future, development destiny, basically. Sold them the dream.
That's incredibly bold for 1986 China. How did he plan to do it?
Well, he brought in, I think the book says about 30 surfboards,
Yeah.
gathered a group of athletic Chinese kids, and for about a month he ran training sessions teaching the basics.
Okay, so far so good.
But then, poof, he just left, vanished from the project. For reasons that aren't entirely clear. The whole program just kind of stopped, abandoned.
Wow. And then just a year later, 1987, another attempt, this time with some big names from the international surf world showing up.
Yeah, the cavalry arrived, you could say. Matt George, the American surf journalist.
Mm-hmm.
Rel's son, the absolute legend from Hawaii, the Queen of Makaha, who actually had ethnic Chinese heritage.
Right, I remember that connection.
And Warren Bolster, the famous photographer. They were there specifically to do a story for Surfer magazine.
And that story ended up with this really charged title, didn't it? Something like the Red Dawn of surfing in China.
Exactly. Red Dawn. Very politicized. Which tells you a lot about the context, the lens they're reviewing it through.
Definitely puts it in a specific Cold War kind of frame. High stakes.
Absolutely. This was 1987. U.S.-China relations were still pretty frosty, and the idea of surfing, this individualistic, almost counterculture Western thing, taking root in communist China, the U.S. media saw as this huge political, cultural moment,
Yeah.
a potential revolution.
But what they actually found on the ground near Sanya sounds like it was the exact opposite of a revolution, more like a complete flop.
It was, yeah, a harsh reality check. They went there expecting to find this new generation of Chinese surfers Drown had supposedly trained.
Ready to take on the world.
Right. Instead, they found local kids playing in the shore break with broken pieces of Peter Drone's surfboards, using them like little rafts or toys.
Broken boards. What happened? Why did that initial highly publicized program just completely fail?
The equipment just couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
Those boards, under constant heavy use by beginners, likely in challenging conditions, they just fell apart.
Wow.
So the first big push to institutionalize surfing in China was basically defeated by, well, poor quality materials and a lack of follow-through.
Yeah.
Left behind nothing but fragments. It's kind of a painful metaphor, really.
Yeah, definitely. So Drown's grand vision fizzled out. How did the scene eventually start to gain real organic momentum after that failure?
It was a much slower burn, driven not by big programs, but by foreigners living there long-term. Expats, mostly Americans, Australians. Many had long-term visas, often because, they had Chinese wives or girlfriends. They weren't just flying in for a month, they were living there, working.
And surfing in their free time.
Exactly. They started systematically exploring up and down the East Coast, hunting for waves. They were the ones who really put in the time.
Became the sort of de facto pioneers of the modern scene. And did their searching lead them to one particular spot?
It absolutely did. They pinpointed Ryu Bay, that's northeast of Sanya, and it quickly became the main hub.
What was it like back then?
For years, it was super low-key, apparently. Just a little restaurant right there that catered to the surfers. You could store your board, rent one maybe. Really relaxed, sort of core surfer vibe. Perfect for a small community to grow naturally.
Yeah, that sounds idyllic. But that kind of quiet spot, especially once the waves are proven, it rarely stays quiet for long, particularly in modern Asia.
You got it. It definitely didn't stay quiet. The big turning point was when international surf contests started showing up.
Bringing global eyeballs.
Exactly. And with that attention came development. Eventually, those old casual structures, the restaurant and stuff, they were torn down. Replaced with modern buildings, hotels, surf schools, everything needed to handle the influx of visiting surfers and tourists wanting lessons. A total transformation.
And now Ryu Bay's legitimacy is basically cemented by the big surfing organizations.
No
right?
question. Both the WSL, the World Surf League, running the Pro Tour, and the ISA, the International Surfing Association, which handles Olympic surfing, they've both held multiple, successful, major events right there at Ryu Bay.
That's significant.
It is. Hundreds of international surfers competing. And crucially, from China's perspective, these events went smoothly. No major visa issues, no government dramas for the athletes. It showed the state could handle hosting these global things. They'd fully embraced it logistically.
That embrace seems tied into a bigger social current in China, doesn't it? We need to talk about why young Chinese people themselves are now flocking to Hainan for surfing. What's the pull?
Yeah, it's this massive contrast to mainland urban life. The book talks about the 996 work culture.
Right. 9 a minute and 9 p.m. or 6 days a week.
Yeah, it's this intense, grinding corporate schedule in the big cities, designed for maximum output, but it can be absolutely soul-crushing.
Sounds brutal, but often quite lucrative, I imagine. Why trade potentially high-paying city job for, surfing on a relatively remote island?
I think it's about freedom, maybe health, a different definition of success. Imagine swapping the office pressure cooker, the pollution, the constant stress,
Hmm.
for a life where your biggest decision is which break to surf, followed by chilling on the beach with a cold beer. For a generation raised on hypercompetition, Hainan offers this radically different path. Less stress, more sun, more physical activity.
Lifestyle choice.
Totally. It's become the undisputed center of China's own surfing community. It's almost like an officially sanctioned escape valve.
Okay, let's circle back to the authors, the surfEXPLORE group. Their own arrival, even with the scenes somewhat established, wasn't exactly smooth sailing, was it?
Yeah.
Which kind of highlights that friction you can get between independent exploration and, well, state bureaucracy.
Oh yeah, they hit a snag right away. John Seaton Callahan and Erwan Simon flew into Haiku Airport. They had valid visas, official invitation letters for their project.
All the paperwork.
Everything seemingly in order. And they were denied entry, just turned away. Had to fly all the way back to Singapore.
Seriously, what happened?
Bureaucracy happened, I guess. The weird part is they waited 3 days, got back on the exact same flight, went through the same process, and sailed right through without a problem the second time.
Wow, that's unpredictable. But once they were actually in, the level of official support they got sounds pretty remarkable.
It was kind of surreal reading about it. The rest of the group joined them. They were put up in a luxury hotel near Shamaya Bay. And get this. For driving around exploring the coast looking for surf, they were given their own deluxe tour bus by the government.
A tour bus. For a surf trip?
Yep. Can you picture it? Pro surfers rattling around in a big luxury bus pulling up to remote point breaks. It's quite an image.
That kind of backing must have unlocked some serious access.
It definitely did. The prime example is this one spot they surfed a really good left point break. But it was difficult to get to because it was literally on the grounds of an exclusive private golf club.
Ah, okay. Why is a left point on a golf course such a big deal? Is it just the access or the wave itself?
It's often about the wave quality and setup. Point breaks, especially lefts in that region, can offer really long, well-shaped rides. They often handle bigger swells better than beach breaks too, and this one. When the surfEXPLORE guys got there, it was firing. Solid 2-meter swell, groomed perfectly by strong offshore winds from the northeast.
Ideal conditions.
Absolutely perfect. But try getting past the security gates of a high-end golf club as a random surfer. Impossible. With the government bus and blessing, no problem.
So the state support was key. And the end of their trip wasn't just them packing up and leaving quietly.
Not at all. It was a massive state-sponsored party. A huge surf carnival extravaganza.
Organized by.
Fully organized and paid for by the local Wanning government and the Hainan provincial government. We're talking a surf contest, a beach carnival, fireworks, a huge banquet. The works.
So the surfEXPLORE group kind of became these government-endorsed cultural figures for a bit.
Pretty much. They were doing interviews with loads of Chinese TV journalists, mics, cameras, the whole setup. And the book has this great little observation. While all this media attention was swirling around them, you had bemused locals just wandering around in the background, apparently looking quite puzzled about why Hainan, this island they felt had been kind of forgotten for centuries, was suddenly the center of all this national focus.
It shows how rapidly things changed, how quickly the island's profile was elevating.
Exactly. From forgotten outpost to national project.
So what does all this success, this institutional backing, mean for China's surfing ambitions on the world stage now?
Well, Hain's consistency and quality aren't just for tourists or the pros anymore. It's been officially designated as the home base and the main training ground for the Chinese Olympic surfing team.
That's a major commitment.
It really signals the national ambition. They're serious about this.
And we're seeing the results already, aren't we? The Chinese team qualified surfers for the Paris Olympics in July 2024.
They did, which is a huge achievement in itself. Now, the venue for Paris is Tijupo in Tahiti.
Which is not liking.
Not even close. Tijupo is one of the heaviest, most dangerous waves in the world. Shallow reef, raw power. So look, maybe expecting medals first time out in those conditions is unrealistic.
Right.
But just competing there, successfully navigating those waves on the Olympic stage, that alone will be massive for national pride, for the future of Chinese surfing, and for Hainan's status.
It really is an amazing arc. From Drown's broken boards in '87 to fielding an Olympic team in Tahiti less than 40 years later. Culture finds a way, I guess, even if it needs a state assist.
Which brings us to that final thought, maybe. Given the whole story, the initial failures, the weird visa hiccup the surfEXPLORE guys had, and then this incredibly comprehensive government embrace later on, the bus, the golf course, the carnival.
Yeah.
What does it all suggest about how these kinds of cultural exploration projects, like surfEXPLORE, need to interact with national development goals, especially in modern Asia? It seems like success isn't just about finding good waves anymore. It requires this deep, sometimes complex negotiation with the official power structures.
A really interesting point. The most kind of rebellious, individualistic sport may be thriving best when it aligns with state ambition. Fascinating stuff.
It really is.
Well, if you want to explore this journey further and see how these explorers uncovered waves in the most unlikely places, you really should grab the book. This has been our deep dive based on excerpts from surfEXPLORE, Discovering New Surfing Locations Worldwide by John Seaton Callahan and the surfEXPLORE Group. Remember, it's published by Schiffer Publishing.
And available October 28th, 2025. Pre-orders are open now.
Definitely want to check out. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.